We will begin the process of integrating the Cisco Unified Communications Manager with the IM and Presence server by first logging in to the CUCM Administrative Interface, or the CCM admin page, using the Application Administrator credentials configured on your system. If you'll recall, the CUCM and the IM and Presence server utilize SIP simple messaging to exchange presence status information between the devices. The first thing we're going to do is create some security profiles and SIP security profiles that we can apply to a SIP trunk that we're going to build to the IM and Presence server. This SIP trunk we're going to call the CUPS Publish trunk, or the IM and Presence Publish trunk. The first thing I'm going to do is go to System, Security, SIP Trunk Security Profile, and hit Find. And keep in mind, this is a freshly installed Unified Communications Manager, so there is no other configuration on the platform at this point. I'm going to select the non-secure SIP trunk profile and hit Copy. I'm going to name it my IM&P SIP trunk security profile. I'm going to check the following boxes: accept presence subscription, accept out of dialog refer, accept unsolicited notification, and accept replaces header. I'm going to click Save, and depending on your environment, some of those values may not be required, but I'm going to use them in my example. So now we've created the SIP trunk security profile. The next thing I'm going to do is create the SIP profile by going to Device, Device Settings, SIP Profile. I'll click Find to locate the existing SIP profiles, and I'm going to select the standard SIP profile, and we're going to click Copy. I'm going to rename the copy the IM&P SIP Security, actually not security, we're just going to call it IM&P SIP Profile, because it's technically not the security profile. We will then give it a description of the SIP profile for IM and Presence, and the remaining values can stay the same. I'm simply configuring a separate SIP profile to give me granularity and flexibility in the future when making changes to my standard SIP profile or to this SIP profile. So we'll go ahead and we'll click Save, and we've now created the SIP profile. The next thing I'm going to do is build a SIP trunk. So we'll go to Device, Trunk, and we'll click Find, and you'll see that there are currently no other configured SIP trunks on the system. We're going to click Add New and create a new SIP trunk. The trunk type is going to be SIP trunk, the device protocol will be SIP, and the trunk service type will be None default. We'll click Next, and we're at the trunk configuration page. I'm going to call this SIP trunk IM&P, and I'll give it a description of the IM&P Presence SIP trunk. I'm going to place it in the default device pool, and I'm going to scroll down and locate, let's see here, where is it at? A little bit farther. Going to locate the SIP information tab. I'm going to type in the destination address of my IM and Presence server, and I am going to use a DNS entry for this. This is one of the fields that is not critical to be DNS enabled, but I'm going to do it just out of practice so that I'm maintaining consistent configurations. The entries that are mandatory to be FQDN are entries that are validated based on certificates, and those are the things we're going to configure in the UC service profiles. The IP address of our IM and Presence server is 10.10.210.16, and the destination port will be the default 5060. Scrolling down just a little bit more, we have a SIP trunk security profile that we're going to select the custom entry that we previously created for IM&P SIP trunk security profile. I'm also going to select the IM&P SIP profile for the SIP profile entry. And now I'll go ahead and I'll click Save. The CUCM administrative interface is giving me a notice that the configuration changes will not take effect until you restart the SIP trunk. So I'm going to hit OK. and wait for our configuration to apply. Once the configuration has applied, I'll hit reset and close. And this will reset our SIP trunk in the Unified Communications Manager. The next thing we want to do is configure the publish trunk. The publish trunk is going to be configured, underneath service parameters. We're going to select our Call Manager Publisher. We're going to select the Cisco Call Manager service, and you'll see that it's marked as inactive because I've not yet started the services on this server. I'll do that outside of the window here, and you don't need to see me take care of that since it's not part of the IM and presence process. But in your environment, those services will already be started. I'm going to search for publish, and I'm going to see, as I scroll down here, the SIP publish trunk. And here it is, the IM and presence publish trunk. We're going to select the SIP trunk that we previously configured and click Save. That's it for the initial configuration of the IM and presence integration on the Unified Communications Manager. There will be additional configuration that we perform specific to end users as presence users, but as far as system level integration goes, that pretty much does it.